far as I'm concerned, the only time that I ever met any of the other farm organisations was when we had the roundtable talks. And if people will remember, the second set of roundtable talks, I went upstairs, I talked to the IFA, we got in around a board table, and as a result of that meeting, all the organisations got in around a board table. We went back downstairs, we met the minister, and suddenly there was a difference in the way that we were perceived. We were now perceived as one strong unit. That is the only, I met Joe Healy a couple of weeks ago, and I was trying to emphasise to him that all the organisations, when it comes to negotiations, we need to be singing off the same hymn sheet and fighting together to get a result for farmers. And it's only with togetherness. This is not joining, it's just purely togetherness when we're negotiating on behalf of farmers. And I think that's very important. I would never join another farm organisation. I think Beefplan has the amount of talent to be able to forge its own trail into the future. I have never taken a red cent, or never would, from Beefplan. There was probably 8 or 10 people in every county in Ireland collecting money on behalf of Beefplan. That's about 250 people, all responsible for collecting the money, either handing it to somebody in their committee, and then that person putting it into an envelope and sending it on. We have about, in the last couple of weeks, we have registrations coming in the door dating back to February and March from Kerry. They all had to be sent back because the money wasn't correct and because the checks have gone out of date. We have heard about memberships, 43 memberships from Roscommon, and the person who collected them still says that he has 10 euros attached to them, but that he's nervous to give it to his committee for fear that he'll be given out to. I mean, this is crazy stuff. I cannot be held responsible for registrations that are not put into an envelope and sent to my house. Every registration that came into this door has been put up on our system. There was another situation where they talked about a blank check. Now, this probably disappointed me the most. Dermot O'Brien, who I would have felt was a very good personal friend of mine, he had said that he was owed money for various things that he paid for, and he had travelled 4 hours from Kerry. I gave him the one and only blank check, which has since been cancelled, and then for him, I told him to ring me the next day with the exact amount, but for him to hand that to the media to use as a leverage point to undermine my character, I just felt very, very disappointed.
Just can I ask you there, if you just clarify that, the reason you gave him the blank check was because he hadn't the final amount.
He hadn't got the invoices with him.
And he had to go back and check the invoices.
Correct.
So you trusted him, and you gave him the blank check because he had travelled the 4 hours up to meet you.
Yeah.
And the understanding was that when he looked at those invoices at home, he was to fill out the check. And you trusted him. So instead of him filling out the check, he kept the check as a blank check and later used that in the media to try and basically attack you personally.
Yeah, but listen, at the end of the day, I hold my hands up. It was unwise. I shouldn't have done it. I'm not perfect. And that's where we are, so we move on. Now, if I could clarify, I would actually christen myself as a bog standard farmer. A bog standard farmer, as far as I'm concerned, is somebody who works totally in farming, that he has no airs or graces, he doesn't have another job, he's a person who's dependent on farming. I would actually see it as a compliment. Some people see it because of the word bog, they think that it's a derogatory term. That is not the way it was meant, and I would never, I would see myself as a bog standard farmer. Initially, I wasn't in agreement with an independent audit because Beefplan's finances are at an all-time low. because it's 15 months since we've had our initial registrations. An independent audit, according to the accountant, our beef plans accountant, will probably cost 4,000 or 5,000. I thought it was a waste of money. We already have an in-depth set of accounts prepared, not signed off, prepared. There are no issues there as far as the accountant is concerned. The accountant that we're using a beef plan is also an auditor. I felt that was enough. That the last thing we want to do is to waste money. But to try, as we say, to keep everybody happy, we've agreed now that we will have an independent audit. So regarding any of the finances, I've nothing to worry about. We have probably 90% of receipts for everything that we've paid. We have actually receipts still due for a trip to Brussels from some of the National Committee. I'm still waiting for those receipts, but I'm sure they'll come in due course. It's important that all counties be given time. So we had a motion at the Meath AGM to extend the timeline for another month, which I think is important. We have gone through whatever has to happen going forward. We will make it happen. We need to get beef plan back on the pitch. Those elections need to happen by, I think it's the 15th of February, is that right?
Correct, yeah, 15th of February, yeah.
And I think it's important that they do happen. I think that they need to happen democratically. There needs to be an independent chair. There needs to be somebody at the door checking registrations, which is the normal thing. It's all in the rules of governance.
In our view, that was an unhelpful meeting, and it basically created more division within beef plan and hurt a lot of people, and wasn't helpful with regard to sorting the beef plan problems out and moving beef plan forward. Now, the reason I say that is basically there was a lot of images displayed that contained personal information from a private group, which we've explained about earlier. And those images were displayed on social media. There was also media present at that meeting who helped distribute those images, and a lot of character assassination took place as a result of that meeting.
Just to clarify a few final points, because I know the average farmer, the most important thing he wants to know is he going to get an increase in his cattle prices? Has he got an association that can represent him? Why can't the leaders within beef plan get in around the table and sort out their problems? I can tell you quite honestly, and as I said earlier, I won't be running for national chair, so this is honest. I have tried inside and out to try and get the national committee, the stood down national committee, in around the table so that we can get solutions to the problems. I even agreed to have a chair who was a personal friend of the national committee. I agreed to that person to act as chair, and I still couldn't get them in around the table. So at some stage we're going to have to make a decision. Are we going to get in around the table, or are we going to just drive a knife through the middle of beef plan? As far as I'm concerned, it is possible to get in around the table. And I had intermediaries talking to the old national committee, and for some unknown reason I just can't get it through that the only way you can drive a future is through dialogue. Now I know, Eamon, I was liaising with you as to what I was trying to achieve, but I can tell the farmers out there, I can do no more. If they're not prepared to sit in around the table, well then we're going to have to look for plan B.
Well, I think that the way forward is quite simple. Let's not overcomplicate it. We have 9 counties, as was already said, who have held their county AGMs. We have dates set for the rest of the AGMs to be held on the 14th and 15th of February. Let's all looking in. Let's get those county AGMs over the line. Let the people in every county have their say as to who they want to represent them. let's get a national committee put together that's representative of all the counties in Ireland, and let's get back to our original beef plan, where it was a grassroots-led organisation, where the people in every county basically have the ideas. Those ideas are taken on board and they're implemented by the people who represent them. So let's get Beef Plan back on track. Let's tackle the issues that are important to farmers. The money issues, the price of beef, the anti-competitive practices, paying less for our inputs, getting more for our produce and our cattle. Let's get Beef Plan back on track, and let's give farmers a voice again, a voice they deserve, because no other farmer organisation represents beef and suckler farmers. Let's give this organisation back to its farmers, and let's do what we're supposed to do for farmers.
Personally, where I see Beef Plan going forward, I think if we're not prepared to stand the line, and I mean this in an honest way, we have to have a stick in one hand and a carrot in another. I think Beef Plan has become soft. I think we need to get back to where we were back in the early months, where we were prepared to stand for what is right. I think, when is the last time you've heard protest and Beef Plan in the same sentence? I think we need to get back to showing the farmers of Ireland that we have a backbone and that we are prepared to do whatever it takes to get fair trade.